But I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to review the ground rules so that we can make sure that we're on the same page and we're respectful of other individuals. So that's the main thing, is to make sure that we're all respectful of the presenters, the speakers, those who are here joining us for INC's delegate meeting. So please review the ground rules. Just to let you know, if you are a delegate, it does help us if you put a D before your name and you do put the neighborhood that you're representing as a delegate. If you have not paid for dues this month, please pay for dues this year. Please look at the dues and contact Trupti regarding the dues, and you can talk to her via the chat. So we do have a large agenda for today. So I want to get through that as quickly as possible and make sure that our presenters actually have the opportunity to present all the wonderful information that we have today. So I want to thank you all for attending, and I want to make sure that everyone here can hear and can understand what we're doing. We also have an interpreter today. Ms. Stonley, would you like to go ahead and just explain a little bit in Spanish? There's an icon at the bottom for interpretation, so we have a Spanish interpreter. Can you go ahead and thank you. So we can't hear her from here, but if you can, please go down to there's an icon that says interpretation. Please go down there and click on that, and you will be able to join that channel and have Spanish interpretation. Thank you. Maybe, Ms. Stonley, you could put that in the chat in Spanish, if possible. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started for all of you. Again, my name is Loretta Kaler. I am your president of INC, and we have a packed agenda. Like I said, I want to go through a few things that we have for today. We have and I think hopefully you all saw my most recent, the email that went out about last month. I asked for a committee regarding updating the bylaws. And so the committee has convened, and we'll hear from them at the end, but I'd like by acclamation just approval of that, if we can have a motion at the end of our presentations for the business. But first of all, I'd like to start with committee presentations, and we will get to approval of previous minutes. I have to go back and find which ones you've all received, but can we start with, I don't know if we have, I don't think Maggie is here this morning, but is Cindy here to present on parks? I don't think Cindy is here to present on parks. Please go to the website if you want to see when the next parks meeting is, and I will try and look that up and put that in the chat later, all right? And everything we're doing right now is via Zoom. Now, next committee, Joel, do you want to go ahead and present on transportation?
Yeah, certainly. We presented last month on our meeting from March. We meet every other month, second Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. Our next meeting will be May 13th. So little ways to go, no agenda to announce yet.
All right, thank you. And if you want the minutes from the last meeting, or is the Zoom on the last?
The
I don't know if
INC,
it's on the website.
Yeah, the INC website has linked to the recording from the INC YouTube channel, so you can see the whole meeting and the presentations.
Great, thank you very much. All right, membership troop, do you want to say anything? Oh, you're muted.
Just a note on the registrations where people identify themselves as a delegate, or maybe they don't know. I usually go through the registration list and compare it to our membership files really quickly right before the call. And I find a lot of folks who think they're delegates or they think their RNO has renewed. So using that information, I will be sending out emails after this call to let you all know and copy your presidents. It will just take me a little bit of time after this call to do that. So there is that piece. And as I see folks with a D who I've identified as not being renewed or not identified as a delegate, I'll be sending you something in chat. This is kind of a ongoing education issue where folks think they are or their RNO is paid, and then there's a disconnect there. And so just want to let you know, I'll be reaching out in those situations. Thanks.
All right, great. Next committee, I'm going to save you for last. Do we want to go ahead with zoning and planning? Christine?
Sure. Very quickly, we meet on the fourth Saturday, usually 9:30 to 11:30 via Zoom. And this month, April 24th, we have 2 speakers lined up so far. I don't know how much time they'll take. One, we're going to talk about the renamed, reconstituted committee called Expanding Housing Affordability, which Annalise Hawk heads up. And she'll give a presentation, and there'll be time for questions. And Brad from HOST, that Office of Housing Stability, will also be there to answer some questions. So submit questions to us ahead of time if you have them. The second topic will be the Golden Triangle rezoning, which may take a little longer because I think there's some discussion about that. And if you're not on our list and you want the zoning notices, just email zoning planning, all running together, at denverinc.org. So April 24th at 9:30. Thanks.
All right, great, Christine. Next committee, I don't know if we have anyone from our education committee. I know we lost our chair of the education committee, but can anybody chime in if you were part of that committee? Because we'd like to have a presentation coming up soon regarding some issues that were brought up from education. So is anybody previously on that committee or is moving forward on that committee? Okay, you can chat, you can send me a message in chat if you are, that would be helpful too. Next committee, I think I've remembered everyone. If I'm not, let me know. But next committee, I am going to ask to speak. And I think Lou, you are here. I've started, last month, I asked for volunteers for a bylaws committee so that we can update our bylaws committee and make sure that we have everything in there that we need, make sure we have DEI, make sure we're working on issues that will move INC into the 21st, 22nd century. So we're moving forward. So I want to make sure that we have all the issues and we readdress everything. We also have standing rules that we'd like to readdress and kind of look at those. Those are easier to approve. But I'd like to introduce Lou, and I sent an email. It should have gone out to delegates saying who's on that committee. So we can go ahead, and I know there were 2 new people who wanted to be on that committee. I think, let me see if I remember. I think it was Emmett, and I don't know, Emmett, if you've joined us today. Emmett Hobley would like to be on the committee, and I think Alani, and I always forget what your last name is, it's Saris, would also like to be on the committee. And Lou, are you here today?
I am.
Oh, good. Great.
Tricia is the chair of that committee. We did convene immediately after we were approved at the last Inc. meeting and or organized, and we had quite a long call. Brian Wilson sent around some comments, and we've been commenting together as a committee. Then we had almost a 3-hour call on the 3rd, and we are already in the process of providing a full red line to incorporate the comments and suggestions that we discussed at the last meeting. So we were hoping actually to, we have another meeting next week, and we were hoping to move that forward fairly quickly. So in process, and we didn't really talk about the standing rules, but I will take a quick look at those. Again, Tricia Schmidt is the chair of that committee, and we were actually calling it a task force, but she is not available this morning, so I'm giving the report for her.
All right. The other thing is, and the other thing is that I wanted, I'm bringing this back to the delegates, to the body. And typically I'm looking this up just to see, but I'd like a motion, and I'm hoping that we could approve this bylaws committee by acclamation, and just have that approval and have them move forward as they've already started. We did say that it was a task force. Let me just say who else. Brian Wilson is on that. Zoe, I will probably not say your last name correctly. Prystalzicki? Sorry, I'm terrible with names. Lou Raiders, Brian
Wait,
Wilson.
can I correct my name really quick? It's actually Marak, so that's not even the right last name.
Oh, okay, I saw that from your email, so.
Oh, that's
So-
my email uses my my old last name, but I have a new last name.
Okay, thank you. Spell your last name for me.
Murach.
Thank you. Okay, easier to pronounce for me. Thank you. All right, and Tricia Schmidt and Greg Sorensen. So that's our committee. Get in touch with Lou. Do you have the next meeting date? And it'll be via Zoom.
Yeah, I think we're looking at the 17th.
Okay. So I just like to go by acclamation. If we can go ahead and have an approval of this committee, since they've already started meeting. Does anybody want to go ahead and move for this committee?
I have a question about that. Why are we forming a committee if it's a task force? They're opposite things. This is Katie Fisher from University Neighbors. Always before, task forces didn't have to be approved. If you're truly making it a committee, then it's a standing committee that would go on for years. And what are we trying to accomplish?
I hear what you're saying. I guess, I don't know if Robert's Rules has a task force, because as I don't know that we want this. We've had previously done bylaws committees, and I think every organization does bylaws committees. The issue is typically they're short-lived, and then you reestablish another one. So if we're fine with keeping it just as a task force, I'm fine with that. Lou, I don't know if you want to chime in also.
I have a comment. There's
Yes.
an inconsistency in our current bylaws where in one section it says that task forces need to be approved by the delegation. And in another section, it just refers to committees. So this is one of the inconsistencies in the present bylaws that we're proposing be rectified.
That's right. And this is Lou. We did talk about that at our last meeting. And there are a number of those, as Greg points out. So we thought, I think when we talked about it, it was to be a task force. So I would probably keep, to Katie's point, I would keep that vernacular, as I mentioned. And, but it was included along with committees with a requirement that there be an approval by the delegation.
All right. So it sounds like just for the purposes of today, and then maybe moving forward, once they have changes in the bylaws moving forward, then we'll be able to have a new way to have task force and standing committees. So for today's purpose, Drew, did you have a question?
Oh, Loretta, are you still accepting nominations for the bylaws committee or so?
Sure. I think we'll want to limit it to 10 or something, because we don't want it to be like 30, because that would be a little cumbersome. But I think
Yeah.
if you're dropping your name in the hat, I think that will work. And I know
No,
Alani?
I was gonna nominate somebody else.
Oh, Well, they
They
would
want-
have
do
to
they know?
accept.
What's that?
I was
What's
saying,
true?
do they know, Drew, that they're being nominated? It was just a joke.
They do.
Well-
No surprise, I think. I'd like to nominate Adrian Brown to Bylaws Committee if that's,
Well,
Acceptable.
Adrian just sent me an email this morning and I haven't had the chance to read it all. Adrian, do you accept that? I think he said yes.
Yep.
Yeah, my only point, this is Lou, is that we really have done quite a bit of work on this already. I
Right.
mean, we thought we had our committee formed last time. I mean, I'm happy to accept new people, but we really have progressed quite a bit on this because we thought we had the committee formed based on last month's meeting.
okay, Lou, I didn't know that. I'm kind of just getting up to speed. So I don't know how people feel I don't know how the committee's being formed. But
I asked for volunteers last month. Go ahead, Troop D.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would support Lou. I mean, it's hard to do this and now they're a month in, they're almost ready to give us a red line to go back and rediscuss all of those things again as a group. I think that would be a little inefficient. So, I mean, hey, Adrian, I think you're great. And I'm sure if there's something in it as we discuss it as a group, I'm sure you'll let us know. But I totally understand what Lou is saying about, they've gone kind of far along at this point to add new people.
Adrian, did you have something to say about that or?
Yeah, my observation is that the last time we had a bylaws subcommittee, it did indeed produce a bylaws rewrite. It was discussed at the membership, and I and others brought up a number of what turned out to be very substantive concerns. We were shouted down, and the work of the committee stood. So with all due respect, Tripti and Lou, the reality is that nobody outside the committee has any voice in these deliberations. And for that reason, I would, seeing for the first time the constitution of the committee as proposed, I am nervous that it is not by any means fully representative of INC, in particular, the disadvantaged in INC. And that's why I'm willing to, and I'll be happy to do catch up with the presumably substantial notes of the previous meeting or meetings.
I just like to add to that as well, that if a couple of one meeting of 3 hours, I mean, I'm happy to get caught up. These are bylaws that will affect how we operate in the future. So taking a little bit more time seems prudent, especially if it comes up later and people have questions and concerns, and that ends up going back and delaying the process anyway, because it wasn't truly representative of all the diverse interests of the membership. So, happy to get caught up, do whatever needs to be done, but having a committee or standing group that, is closed doesn't make a lot of sense either. And some people may eventually drop off. So having extra people on there might be a good idea. And I'd like to see other people get involved as well.
Well, this is Lou. I am happy to expand the committee if that's what we need to do. I mean, I've led numerous nonprofit organizations, and bylaws is, it's a legal document. It has to be right. We have included, Adrian, to your point, I've done a tremendous amount of work in the social justice space, and I have included best practices on this that actually go a step beyond quite a bit of other nonprofit organizations. I am happy to include people, but I just want to make a statement that, our job when you form one of these committees is to be representative, is to think about those issues which are nonprofit bylaw best practices. So I would be happy to include others. I just do think that sometimes you can get some of these committees to be so large, and everybody wants input, and I'm called the scribe because you can't have a lot of people. You can have a lot of people commenting in Google Docs, which Brian Wilson had set up for us immediately, so efficiently. But you do need to be cognizant of, you can't make a change here without it dominoing through the whole document. I mean, I've practiced law for 38 years in this space, and I get it, and I'm happy to add more people. As long as we can be efficient, I'll be happy to have an earlier call that we can call a catch-up call. But I would like to make sure that today and now what we approve is the end of the committee, because if it just goes on with new people, everybody, wants to have input, and everyone will have a chance to review these to make sure that we do capture concerns. But bylaws are bylaws. They should be short, succinct in ways of operations, and then as Loretta pointed out, you have some standing rules that are more pliable. So with that, I'm happy to add people and happy to try to find a time to bring everybody up to speed.
All right. I just need, it sounds like, and let me know this, as long as we can add 3 people, that's what I hear, 3. I need, if those 3 people want to get up to speed, and get on the Google Doc, that Brian, can you send the Google Doc individually in the chat to Adrian? I don't see that Emmett is on yet, but I think he's texting me. So let me, if he is on, send it to him also. If not, send it to me. Well, I have it. And then we can get everybody on and get them up to speed. I know Adrian, you and Alani, it sounds like you guys will all get up to speed. I think the other thing, and I wanted to bring this up again, is I think one of the ways, if a committee is smaller, you could try and work by consensus, and I think that's preferable. So I think that's the committee, and I haven't been on the last meeting, but I hope that's kind of where you're going, and I hope it sounds like you're really working together and trying to move forward. I'd like to, have a bit more diversity on that committee. Emmett does want to join, so I think that would be helpful too. So if we can go ahead, and are there any, and Greg, probably better than I do about parliamentarian rules. I think my point is just to say, is there anybody who would be opposed to this committee going forward? Speak up. Okay. I don't think so. I'm going to go ahead and by acclamation, we'll go ahead and we'll have this committee move forward. I think that's, they've done some wonderful work. They've worked, 4 or 5 hours into this. That's a lot of work. So if you're joining now, please know, just be up to speed and get forward. I have to hand this over to the Climate and Sustainability Committee, because we're on a time frame. We got to move forward. So thank you very much for that discussion. Perry and Jane, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day outside. It's wonderful that you're all sharing your Saturday mornings inside with all of us. I'm a board member of the Denver Interneighborhood Cooperation, and I'm on the committee for the Youth Civic Engagement Awards. And one of our Climate and Sustainability Committee members, Keith Meyer, who runs the North Side Sustainability Alliance, came to me and said, did you know that students are taking action on climate in Denver? And I was not aware of what was going on. And so he introduced me to the Youth Sustainability Board. 2 of their representatives are here with us today to share what they're doing, and they're asking INC to endorse what they're going to be doing. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Felicia Winfrey and Kendall Olgan and let them take it from here.
Hi, my name is Felicia and I'm a senior at South. If someone could let me share my screen, that would be great. But if not, we can also just, okay, perfect. So like I mentioned, my name is Felicia. I'm a senior at South High School and I live in Harkness Heights.
My name's Kendall. I'm a senior at Denver East High School and I live in Lowry.
So a little bit of context about what YSB is. It's a 501c3 nonprofit that was started in 2018 by 2 DPS students and a DPS grad. It's student run with adult advisors, and our mission is to educate, engage, and empower youth in sustainability. The primary way we do this is by supporting school clubs. So we support 18 school clubs across Colorado in Denver, Jefferson County, Fort Collins, and Boulder.
Our goal today, this year, is to pass a resolution in our school district to address sustainability. Our resolution is a coalition of high school students working to draft it and write it up by the end of this school year. And we have students from North, South, East, Thomas Jefferson, and Denver School of the Arts. Currently, across the nation, more than 70 school districts have already passed resolutions. So we feel like it's very important that Denver does so as well as the fact that our Department of Sustainability is nationally recognized.
So why do we feel the need to have a resolution? It's crucial to solidifying the district's goals towards sustainability. Additionally, racial and social injustices in our society can't be remedied without simultaneously addressing the environmental issues that disproportionately affect marginalized students in DPS. Also, the mission of DPS is to educate its students. It's a school district, and we think that DPS has a responsibility to teach its students to be thoughtful stewards of the earth and its resources.
So what exactly is going to be asked on the resolution? Our biggest priority is that we want to reach 100% clean electricity by 2030 in accordance with Denver's 100% renewable electricity action plan. And with that, we want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by at least 90% of the levels in adherence with Colorado's climate action plan. Some other things that we have on the resolution are to actively engage students in creating a culture of sustainability, to improve the energy efficiency of schools and really transform schools into these independent power producers so that they can sustain themselves, and to increase sustainability and social justice curricula in schools. And these goals will hopefully be met through the creation of task forces. Felicia?
So the creation of task forces is going to ensure that DPS meets the goals lined out in the resolution. It's going to be a joint effort between students, teachers, DPS staff, and community members. And in our resolution, we're requesting that task forces be arranged by October 1st, 2021. We don't have the final text of our resolution yet, but we will send it out as soon as we do. And yeah.
So today we're really asking you to endorse this statement. In the chat, I just dropped a link to the endorsement statement that Keith provided for us. And hopefully you can go back to your neighborhoods, spread the word, especially if you have any students, if you have any children or neighbors in Denver Public Schools, to support our resolution. There's going to be a petition sent out pretty soon. And then hopefully in May, when we present our resolution to the board, we can garner support across all of Denver and across the whole community.
Yeah, so if you have any questions or concerns, I don't think we have time to answer them today, but please feel free to email me. My email's right there. And also on YSB's website, which is just youthsustainabilityboard.org. I'm also putting it in the chat right now. You can sign up for, there's a little tab on the top that says DPS resolution. There's a form to fill out if you want to stay updated about the final text of our resolution, along with other ways you can support, like signing petitions. We also have a scavenger hunt coming up from April 16th to May 16th. So if you have any kids, or if you know anyone who's in elementary, middle, or high school, it's a super fun event. It's all virtual. You can win prizes, and the info for that is also on our website, just under scavenger hunt, where you can sign up. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much. So we will post the resolution on the INC's.
We're posting our endorsement.
Okay, thank you. Endorsement. And so we'll post the endorsement on the website. You can take it back to your RNOs. And then next month we will before our packed agenda again. We will vote on that, but it should be hopefully a quick one. Now, one final thing that I forgot to announce is that our VP, Jane Lorimer, had stepped down. She was just newly elected in March. She's already stepped down. So in the interim, I'm appointing a Drew Dutcher as VP. He was term limited as one of our at-large. So I'm going to go ahead and appoint him, and we can have a vote on him next month, but we have this packed agenda. It gives you a month to think about it and go, Drew, I need to talk to you first. But I think you all know Drew, so, and he's been working hard for INC, so thank you very much. Jane, do you want to take it, or Perry?
So the only thing I want to add, you're about to see what the committee has been working on since our last delegate meeting, but I wanted to just get on your calendars that on July 15th will be our next evening forum. You'll see that the issue of equity and disparate impacts on frontline lower communities is woven through everything the city is doing, through everything you're going to hear today. We will dedicate July 15th to a deeper examination of what all of that means. Why are these neighborhoods more vulnerable to climate? Where are they in Denver? What's being done now, and what can and should be done going forward? How do we work together to move forward as a united city to address the climate challenge? So put that on your calendar. It's going to be a summer evening. Maybe you can sit outside. It's going to be a good one. So I think without further ado, Loretta, we just bump it back to you to